Round two, bitch!
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? And today we're talking about Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. So I saw the trailer for this and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that they're gonna make a sequel. Let's see if they can do it again, because you never know with sequels, and sometimes they're like, did this need to be made, right? And so I watched this movie and I feel like this movie just didn't live up to the second one, and I hope that they don't make a third one. Not that this one was bad, I just feel like there was a real lack of something, and it just didn't live up to the first movie. Now, what I liked about the first movie is that it was essentially a family that knew that they had to do a sacrifice, but they didn't do it often enough, and they weren't like trained enough that it was like a, trained assassins or whatever, like coming after you. It was like, hey, what if you gave some random person like an axe and they didn't know how to swing it, but they were trying to kill this other person. So that it was this level of like, this is a horror situation, a thriller situation, right? But there is this level of realism which kind of brings like humor to the whole thing, but people aren't really cracking jokes. It's more of just like, they don't know what to do, but they know what they want to do, right? If that makes any sense. And I was like, okay, cool, we're gonna do it again, right? And so what's the premise? If you're watching this and you didn't see the trailer, or you don't know that a sequel even exists, basically this picks up right after the first one, and Grace is captured once again. And it turns out that the family from the first one was one of the major families that kind of run the world, and because of like some weird bylaw or whatever, the other families now have to try to kill her to decide who's going to be the head family at the table. And she also got visited by her estranged younger sister, and so now her sister is thrown into all this shenanigans, and we kind of run it again, right? So let's start off spoiler free. If you want spoilers, just skip ahead. Spoiler free. I think that this movie just didn't understand why the first one worked, and I double checked and I was like, is this the same directors? Is this the same writers? You never know in Hollywood. It is. Like I was saying, the humor is the realism of the situation. People that know that they want to sacrifice someone to stay in power, but they don't know what they're doing. They didn't train their family for the situation that they knew might happen. This one, all the other big families have been waiting for this day, right? So everyone kind of comes and they're pretty much, ready to go. So again, the humor of the whole thing from the first movie isn't already set up to be in this one, because everyone's already ready to go. So the humor of this movie comes from the other family members that are watching their family try to take down Grace and her sister. And for some reason, it is Grace's sister who has this like, almost like MCU, like, well, that was crazy type of like feeling about this insane situation, even though she should be the grounded one. And so the humor doesn't work in this movie, because it's like, why are we like cracking jokes and stuff like this in this situation where it should be this level of, again, rich families that are like, we want to do this, but like we don't know like how to do this, or like maybe one family knows how to do this and the other ones don't. But I don't know, it just didn't work this time, and it felt really weird that the one person who would be, the kind of character like us of like, what's going on in here, is the one that's kind of like chilling. And it's like, if anyone, Grace should be chilling, not you. And so it already throws the whole movie off. Now, the first movie started with, Grace inside, and then there's kind of a moment where she's outside. And this is in the trailers. They start them outside and they kind of like bring them inside. And I guess they were trying to like, oh, let's do the opposite. And I don't think that works. I think it is a better situation if it is more contained. And I think the best moments of the movie are when it is contained. I feel like when it is kind of in the open space, it's just kind of like, why are you having such a hard time when it is an open space? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't want to be too negative on this. There are some positives to this movie. I do think a lot of the rules that are put here are interesting. I was like, okay, I kind of like this. I think Elijah Wood's character, he's not bringing too much to the movie, but I felt like his character, just in the way that he is kind of there, and like, I was like, oh, what is his kind of, even like when you get to the end, I was like, oh, interesting. And so I was like, okay, there are a lot of interesting pieces to what they're setting up for this universe. I just don't think that the formula of the second movie works by doing the opposite of what they did in the first movie. So the whole time I just felt like, oh, this isn't working in the way that I think you hope it did. And what sucks is there's a moment where the movie does what they did in the first movie, and I was like, okay, you kind of get it, so I don't know why you didn't do this more. And even when it is doing that part, it is intercut with another moment that is so serious and like kind of hard to watch, that is like, oh, I can't even fully enjoy like the moment where you get it, because you're undercutting it by having it connect to this other part. And it's like, oh man, like, you just don't get it. Like, you lost whatever, like, the sauce that you had in the first movie. Like, it's not there anymore. And so, even though there is, you know, kind of a, well, I guess I won't say that, but there is like a twist. And even as we get to, you know, eventually the movie goes on, we get to the end, I was just kind of like, this isn't, like, I'm not enjoying this. I just kind of feel like we're not spinning our wheels here, but like, you didn't give me the same thing. You didn't give me the same thing. It just didn't work. It didn't work this time. So the first one I gave 7.5 out of 10, which based on like, you know, Rotten Tomatoes and stuff, I feel like that score is too high based on what everyone else feels. But I enjoyed the first movie for what it was and the humor for what it was. I think the humor not working this time around, them, you know, kind of doing the inverse of the first movie. There's a lot of times where, you know, things should be like serious, and the two sisters are like bickering at each other, and it's like, there's no tension here. So a lot of things just didn't work, and I just feel like this movie is like a 6 out of 10. Like, I just feel like there's a big drop in you know, what the first movie was by doing this one. And I think this is one of those classic moments, and I feel like I say this in like every video. It's just like, I see the vision. I see where like there could have been some minor tweaks here and there that could have made this movie feel a little more like the first movie. Maybe not as good, but kind of still in the realm of what the first one provided. And it just didn't get there. So this one was just like severely lacking. And so if you enjoyed the first movie, I would say maybe give this one a chance. Maybe you'll like it just as much as, or kind of near the first one. If you did not enjoy the first movie and you thought, oh, it was kind of okay, there's no reason to watch this one. I would skip it on, honestly. I think that it just really isn't as good as the first one. But I don't know, maybe you'll like it. Let me know. That's what I think. Spoiler free. I am going to get into spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch the movie and then come back. Unless you don't care, then stick around. I'm going to get into spoilers in 3, 2. I feel like the younger sister just did not work. I felt like she was like borderline like chilling the whole time. The fact that they kept bickering with each other. No offense to, let me look up her name again. Catherine Newton. But I don't understand the direction that they were giving her.
Your attention must have been on all that money.
What? What does that mean?
Nothing. I'm just saying that I work for my shit, and I don't need rich dick to solve my problems.
Ew. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
I kind of felt like she was doing like almost like her MCU character, but like in a horror movie. And I was just like, that's not the vibe that it should have been, because Grace is the one that's been through this. She's the one that's doing this again. She should be the kind of more level-headed one, even though it just happened to her like yesterday. Faith, her sister, right, should be the one that is just like, what's going on? Why don't we do that? Maybe we can talk to them, blah, blah, blah. And Grace having to be like, no, like, we gotta lock in, like, they're gonna try and kill us, yada, yada. And I was thinking, like, you know who would be a good sister and like who I think has the acting chops for the character they need is Peyton List. I know her recently from like Cobra Kai. I know she's in some other stuff. What she gave in Cobra Kai was enough for me to be like, yeah, I think she could have given like, I'm scared, I don't know what's going on, I don't want to be here, like, you fucking left me, blah 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 blah. And I think we would have had a more compelling dynamic between the two of them, of someone who's been through this and then someone who hasn't been through this and is dealing with a range of emotions, from not only dealing with her estranged sister, but like running for her life. Yeah, I can't imagine them seeing this and being like, yeah, like the younger sister, like, character is working for us. Like, I just don't think it works. Even when she's like getting her face beaten, she's just kind of like, haha, whatever, like, this doesn't hurt at all. It's just like, I just feel like you shouldn't be acting that way. While we're here, I forgot to bring this up in the spoiler free part. First movie, they were like, oh, Grace is a foster kid, right? She doesn't have any family. She wants a family. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, she got a sister. And I was like, how are they going to get around that one? And then their explanation was that, oh, she tried to reach out to her younger sister, couldn't get through to her. Eventually, it was like, fine, I'm just going to pretend like I never had family at all, which is just like, wait, what? And so I thought that part was weird. And I was like, I figured they're going to drop the ball. It's a small thing compared to the other things in this movie, but I was like, I knew it. I saw it coming. So like I was saying, in the spoiler-free part, what I liked about the first movie was the, fact that no one knew what they were doing, right? Giving them a crossbow, giving them a regular bow or whatever, or a gun. They don't know how to shoot. And so, they got the perfect shot and they don't know how to do it. And so in this one, it felt like everyone was raring to go. And so I was like, oh, there's no tension when everything is kind of ready to go. I think the only tension we have is when the, one mom is like, hey, listen, we went through the bylaws. We know that, like, if you marry my son, he's a piece of shit, I know. But she's like, listen, you can live your life however you want. You give me the power. And, we all got it here scot-free, bada bing, bada boom. I was like, okay, cool. I kind of like that, there is someone's like, hey, we don't have to do this. I like that there is, like, kind of a loophole that they found. And I like that Grace is like, no, like, you guys suck. I don't want to give you the power. I know you suck. Like, I'm not going to do this, even though her sister's like, please do this. And then her kind of tricking the lady into, killing the other guy, and her being like, what did you do? And then she explodes. And then, the son's like, I don't feel so good. And then he explodes. I was like, okay, cool. I like that. I think a way they could have fixed this was like, have one family who's been trained, like, especially because the movie sets up, and these are small lines of like, hey, the major families haven't seen each other since the 60s, right? And this is a weird bylaw that, like, no one really even thinks about. And so this isn't something that occurs all the time. So again, you should have just played that up of being like, hey, these major families don't know what they're doing. They're just like the first one where you're giving them weapons. And I think the thing you could have changed is, like, they have their own weapons, right? But they don't know how to use them. And then you could have had one family that's like, we've been training for this, accidental situation or whatever specific situation our entire life. So then you get the dynamic of one family who knows what they're doing and the other families that are just like bumbling around. And I think you would have gotten the humor from that of like, it is scary for the two of them, but you got these rich assholes who don't know what the fuck they're doing except for, maybe one family. But by having everyone ready to go, it's kind of like, whatever. I do like the rule of, when you die, the next person can like sign on the dotted line and be like, put me in, coach. And so let's start off with I don't know if they're Indian. Let's start off with, the family that had the sword and the guy had the mask on, right? So he dies. I found it so funny that the younger brother's like, man, if it were me, she'd be dead already. And it's like, all right, it's your turn. He's like, huh? What? And they're like, yeah, it's your turn. He's like, what if I make my wife go do it? It's like, you fucking loser. And I like that the guy's like, okay.
Madhu, if you sign that, I will make you very dead.
This is hard for me too.
And so he signs the wife's name and she's like, oh, fuck you. And then she like drives away. But I found that part to be confusing because I was like, oh, I thought all the families had to go after Grace or also like Mr. LaBall would come for them. So when she just drives away and the guy's like, sorry, like she owns the whole company now or whatever, like you're kind of, worthless. I was like, oh, I was waiting for her to drive and then be like, haha, I'm free. And then she explodes and the guy's like, oh no. And then he explodes. So them not doing that, I was like, that's a wasted opportunity. I would have had it been like, no, you have to play because it's the devil and it's his rules. and had the both of them explode, especially because they tried to do that little fake out thing at the end where he's like, look, I'm still alive, and then he explodes. I was like, that's a useless joke. We should have just killed them off by being like, you either play or die, like the first movie. That being said, we go to the Latino family, right? Them having the daughter that was like, oh, Alex was supposed to marry me first, you bitch, but like he chose you, blah blah blah. Like, I don't think we needed that extra connection. But her fight with Grace is the part I loved of the movie, and it was the part that felt like the first movie of she's like, haha, I gotcha, and then she has the bazooka backwards and it shoots backwards, which I fucking knew, and I loved the joke anyways. And then, she pepper sprays her, and then she pepper sprays her, and they're both trying to fight, and they can't see each other. I don't think we needed like the the Bonnie Tyler song or Taylor song in the background, but I like that they were just bumbling around like, haha, I got you, and they're just like hitting like a cardboard cutout or like slamming into the table or whatever. That was like, okay, cool, we needed more of this, because this is what I loved about the first movie. But again, I believe that this part was the part where it was also intercut between the younger sister just getting her fucking face beaten by the creepy older brother. Well, I mean, he was like soft at first, and then suddenly he got a little taste of power and he turned all creepy, and he was just like beating her face, and I was like, I don't like this like funny dark, that like what you're doing right here is not working. There should have been two separate moments. So yeah, even then that part was like undercut. I was like, I could have enjoyed this more if you didn't do this to me. I thought it was so weird that the Buffy's brother, Sarah Michelle Gellar, her brother was like kind of a bitch, and then I forget what the catalyst is. Does he kill somebody? I remember, but he like does a heel turn and he like smacks her, and he's like, oh, like wait, I'm in charge now. And then he gets all like weird, especially with the younger sister. He's like, yeah, like I'm gonna save you for later or something like that. I was just like, what are you playing here? Like I don't know. It was a weird turn that just came out of nowhere, and it was just like, yeah, I don't like this. Speaking of something I do like, because I don't want to be too negative all the time, Elijah Wood's character, I thought that because he's like, all right, cool, I'm the devil's lawyer here on Earth, and he's like, I have the book, you know what I'm saying? The part where the cousin is like texting like, oh, they're over here now, and he's like, you sure you want to do that? And he's like, like I like that his character was just kind of like, listen, I'm an unbiased third party. I read the rules. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So when everyone was like exploding at the end and killing each other, I like that he was just kind of like, hey, listen, man, he tells me where to go. I read the book. And I was like, oh, okay. I expected him to explode, but he's just like, I'm a third party in all of this. I was like, I kind of like, so there was like a lot of things, again, the loophole, the fact that the next family member can like come in, like a lot of the rules that they added in this one, I enjoyed, except for the fact that like, if Grace married into the family, then wouldn't she technically be the head of the family? So then why would they have to kill her if she's technically the head of the the gaming family from the first one? That part didn't make sense to me. I was like, what it made more sense of like, hey, if we did it kind of like Harry Potter style of like, we're gonna put all of you in a hotel, whoever, you can either kill Grace, and then because she's technically now the head of the family because she killed everyone else, she gets like some weird rule where she's like now head honcho. You can either kill Grace or you can somehow find the ring inside this building, and it's like the golden snitch, and then you can become head of the family. So either or. And a lot of them are like, we don't want to fucking look around for this ring, we're just gonna kill her. I think that would have made more sense rather than her technically being, in my opinion, I think I would have been like, aren't I the head of the family? Like, shouldn't I also be like, I have a seat at the table? I think it's weird for them to have to hunt her down. I don't think, where's the rule master? Read the book, make it make sense. Speaking of the rules, I do like that, we found out, and it's even in the beginning, and I didn't even realize it until later, like, you can kill your own family member, it doesn't break the rules. So I did like the twist of Grace being like, yes, I will marry you, please don't kill my sister, and then she kills him in the end. And then she's like, you know what, fuck you guys, I don't want any of this. You guys can have your stupid ring and your stupid throne or whatever.
Okay, but then who gets the fucking seat? Whoever's wearing the ring by dawn.
When's dawn?
in 3 minutes, give or take.
But just the council families, or?
Literally anyone.
I don't like them fighting in the pit. It's all gross and stuff, but like I do like the idea of like, hey, it is all all hands on go. Like somebody has to hold the ring, or else, you know, none of this matters. So I did like that part. That the when it comes to like the rules of all of this, I was like, I like this. But yeah, I just feel like a lot of this movie just was a huge letdown, and it just didn't hit the highs of what the first movie was. But I think all of the pieces were there. I think things just needed to be moved around a bit in order to have this movie feel like the first movie, and then have you know, just kind of give a sense of like something similar to where we were. But I think it just didn't get there. And luckily enough, it seemed like everybody died at the end of this movie, so I don't think there's going to be a third one. But if there is a third one, I don't think I'm going to be interested in it, because it just didn't work. But let me know if you watch this movie what you thought. Do you like this one better than the first one? Am I crazy? Do you think this one is good? I think it's okay. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below. If you got this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.